Thank you for joining us for this episode of That Solo Life, the podcast for PR pros and marketers who work for themselves. People like me, I am Michelle Kane. My company is Voice Matters, and I am here as always with my fantastic co host, Karen Swim of Solo PR Pro. Hi, Karen. It's
Hello,
September.
Michelle. Happy September.
Yes, we're in it. We are in it. I,
Yeah.
I can't believe it. You wish the days away when it's hot and humid and you don't want to go outside, and then suddenly, what? We're in the last quarter. What?
Yeah. Almost there, right? It's
Almost.
last month of quarter three, and
Right?
then it's that home stretch into the end of the year.
Wild. It's wild, but that's okay. And we thank everybody for coming on this wild ride with us. And today we're going to talk about a topic that's getting lots of buzz out there. We're going to talk about quiet quitting.
Yeah, that is, it's funny because it's a new label, but it's not necessarily a new thing. But
Right.
everybody's so freaked out about it. Or I should say corporate leadership. And it's really like, oh my God. And there are some companies that are taking it seriously to their
Yeah.
credit. Like they are discovering this and really wanting to understand and get a handle on it.
Right. 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 And I think in a lot of ways, I know we've discussed this off air, how, it's not really quitting. And in a lot of ways, it feels like the answer to or the complement to the great resignation. We
Yeah.
are still going through this rethinking of what work means to us. Now, as solos and business owners, we've already done that. But, people who are employed thinking, wait, I don't have to accept that anymore. Oh, okay. So maybe I'm not going to leave my position, but let me just sit and reevaluate. Where am I over serving? Where am I over giving? Where am I allowing, more to be received from me than what I'm being compensated for? I also think too, it's the old, and, and to say none of this is necessarily new, but people are less accepting of the we'll reward you with pizza lunch, as compensation for something, a
I
job well
agree.
done.
And I think we should make a distinction because
Yes,
there are two versions of quiet quitting.
right.
There's quiet quitting that is really balanced. It's healthy. It means that
Yes,
you really are still excited about your career. You still want to contribute, but
right.
you've learned to set those guardrails around your personal time. And that is one
Correct.
positive impacts of the pandemic is that people reconnected with the rest of their lives and really started to see the value of making that a priority as well. So in
Agree.
my mind, that's really not quiet quitting. That
Right.
is healthy work-life balance, which we preach to solos all the time and don't always get right. The quiet quitting that really concerns me and concerns
Mm.
employers as well is the hopelessness, the disengagement, where
Yeah.
you're not rising above, you're not excited to develop yourself, you're not excited to challenge yourself, you're not excited in the company, you're really just doing the least
Yeah.
that you can to get by. So you're
Yeah.
phoning it in, basically.
Yeah.
But that is not the sole domain of traditional employment.
Correct.
I think that everybody at some point hits a quiet quitting phase of their career. And
Hmm.
it's always to me a good sign when you are feeling that same old, when you are feeling disengaged, and maybe you're not describing it as hopelessness, but it really is.
Yeah.
Sometimes low key depression.
Yeah.
And in times of the pandemic, wouldn't surprise me if that's happening more often.
Right.
We hit that point in our business where you could just be going along. You're just doing the work. You're not necessarily, depressed about it. Maybe you're not mad about it. Maybe you don't hate it. You're not labeling like
Hmm.
I hate this whole thing, but you've quiet quit on your own business. And
Hmm.
the fact that this is really becoming so widespread, because I do think that the number of people who have given into this has grown exponentially since the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's really concerning because where do we go from here? I mean, you should
Right.
not own a business or be in a job where it's not fulfilling. You're getting zero satisfaction out of it, and to the point where you're just going along. I'm
Yeah.
just going to.
And, you know, it's certainly a two-way street, right? So even if you're not,
Yeah.
and I don't mean this in a negative way, right? Everybody's wired differently, and some people are just not wired to be very self-motivating, right? Because
Yes.
some people, as we go along our careers, we check in with ourselves and say, okay, am I okay with where I am? What's happening here? Am I getting in a rut? Do I need a new challenge? So there's that aspect of it. And then kudos to the employers that are concerned, but bonus points to those that are concerned and willing to check in with themselves as a company. Okay, well, what is our culture? Is our culture encouraging people to check in with themselves? Are we encouraging our people to, want to strive? And I mean within healthy boundaries. Are we providing them with leadership opportunities? Are we providing them with growth opportunities? Are we just checking in as far as the systems that we have, the way we run our business? Is that both serving our bottom line and the people who contribute to it well? It's really, well, I mean, I always like to view anything as an opportunity. This is a huge opportunity yet again for the business world to just take a step back and evaluate what's happening in their midst. And, okay,
Yeah.
cliche alert, rising tide lifts all boats. So,
True.
make sure everyone's got a good boat and good
And
time.
I think for those of us who are running our own businesses, it is natural. It is natural after a certain point of time
Wow.
to go from being in a flow and finding your groove, and everything is, all cylinders are operating, things are going well, that you are not toiling, which is
Right.
a goal. You should not toil in your business either. Let me just
Right.
say that. It should not be this traumatic, difficult thing.
Hmm.
However, if it's crossed the line over into coasting in a negative way, there are some things that you should do. And number
Hmm.
one is to recognize it. Just be real with yourself and then go through your checklist. Am I not excited about the business, or is it a particular client, or is it a particular set of things that I'm doing in my business? Are the services that I offer still right for me? In our solo PR pro group recently, many of the members talked about tapping into their great writing skills, which used to be a requirement for PR, and leaning more on the writing side because they
Yeah.
enjoy that. And so you can go along for years doing a mix of things, and then something interests you more in a season of life than in other periods. And so you can
Right.
lean into that. So think about, is it everything that's not giving me that spark, or is there something that I need to figure out that I want to do more of? Is it the industries that you're working with? Maybe a little industry shakeup would
Hmm.
do good, and you can break into another industry by offering to work with another solo, bringing your expertise to somebody else's team and getting your feet wet in something to see if it's something that you want to pursue. It may be that you need to mix up your schedule, or you may need a dog on vacation. And all of these things are really, again, natural. But I
Yeah.
would also say that, and we've talked about this in the past, but I don't know that we've touched on this recently, but you should have a professional development plan for
Mm.
yourself. That does not begin and end with employment. We
Right.
still, as human beings, we all want to have value. We all want to contribute in life. We want it to matter. I don't care what career you choose. That's just human nature.
Yeah.
And I know for the solos, you can probably, take that up times 100. We like making a difference. We want to matter. We want our work to have significance. So
Right.
it's up to you, because you're the boss of your company, to make sure that you set out your own professional development plan. That means making sure that you're learning new things, making sure that you are moving forward. And so while you may not be climbing a corporate ladder, and even if you have zero desire to scale your business, that's okay. It doesn't mean that you can't grow as a professional.
Right.
So take a look at the areas where you're like, you know what? I'm weak in this area, and not you're weak and it's something that you hate doing, don't do that. But if it's a weakness that you enjoy and you want to get better, take a course, take a
Right.
workshop, read
Right.
some, start to, have a plan. Every year, as we're getting towards the end of the year, sit down and make your professional development plan for the coming year. Think about what you want to accomplish. This time next year, I want to be here. I
Yeah.
want to be good at this. So then learn about that
Yeah.
thing. Lean into that
Pers-
thing. Develop
uh,
yourself.
yeah, I agree. I mean, pursue it. And the beauty of it is, there's really no pressure. So it's not like you're stressing through it of, oh, I have to take this class. If
Yes.
digital marketing, even if you don't want to touch creating a Facebook ad, take a top level course, a 30,000 foot view course, just so you're better at knowing what your vendors are talking about. Little things like that. Google Analytics is changing to GA4, and even those in the business are saying,
Yeah.
so, even if it's just subscribing to some things, I know we all like to have our email inbox clean, but, keep up to things. Maybe start a book club with yourself. Get
Yeah.
inspired by other people's stories because we're storytellers, whether it's, people who are successful in business or just in other things. And also reading other writers helps us as writers. Even though I know for me, I don't know about you, Karen, but sometimes at the end of the day, I don't want to look at any more words. I just want to look at pictures. But it's still important to dive
Well,
into
that's why I
reading.
put work-related activities into the workday,
Yeah.
honestly. Because at the end of the day, I'm
Yeah.
pretty fatigued,
Yeah.
and I need to relax, decompress, and walk away from it. And
Yeah.
I would encourage you guys to do that. So, again, me, the time block girl, I do block time in my calendar every single week. I have chunks of time,
Yeah.
big chunks, whole days. Like I don't have meetings every day. So I have free days. And so
Yeah.
some of those days are devoted to strategic work where I'm really doing more thinking, planning, and not doing. Other
Right.
days may be devoted to like writing. If I have some, writing to do, then that's deep, that's
Yeah.
deep work because it takes thought. And so I want to just have free time to do that. And
Yeah.
then I have time to do things like go through a course that I've signed up for, or
Yeah.
some reading and taking some notes, or watching some videos. Videos is another way to learn and like,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
I watch videos about just sometimes things that I'm not even really interested at mastering, but like how to do this on TikTok or
Mm.
stuff advertising just to keep up,
Yeah.
and it does keep you fresh, and you walk away and you're like, I didn't know that, or I learned something, or oh,
Yeah.
that changed. Wow, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. My personal rule for any of that, for anything with regard to professional development, is I want it to either affirm that, okay, I know what I'm doing, or inspire or teach me something new. It doesn't have to rock the world,
Yeah,
but just keeps
agree.
keeps you fed. It keeps you fed, and that's important because, a friend of mine, someone once told her, of course, this is to do with dieting, right? But about eating, and it was actually her son. He's a personal trainer, and he said, "Mom, you're a wood burning fire. You have to keep putting the logs on," and that can translate to a lot of things, right? Our creativity, we can't just let it tamper out. So I think you just have to keep that fed. And I think that's very important. So, do yourself that favor, invest in yourself. I think that's a nice phrase. Pop it
Yeah.
on a post it note, put it on, the top of your computer monitor, your laptop. Invest in yourself. It's okay. And And I get it because I live it so many days where you're in it, you're doing the work, you're taking care of everyone else, taking care of your clients. And then suddenly you lift your head up and you realize, oh, wait a second. What was that thing I was going to look into?
Yeah.
So I agree with you, Karen. I think if you can block out chunks of your day, um, for me, sometimes that's a Monday morning because, everyone's kind of crawling back to their email reluctantly, some of us reluctantly. That's a great time to find that downtime, or even a Friday afternoon. I always joke, nothing good happens after 3 o'clock on a Friday, so make sure it's something good.
It's funny. There was a reporter that I spoke with one evening this week, and it's because she called us, and I'm
Sure.
really good about getting back to reporters right
Yeah.
away. And so it was on a Thursday, and she goes, well, we were joking. She's like, "Oh my God, I forgot to say that it wasn't urgent." And so I laughed and I go,
Oh,
"Okay." And she goes, totally could have waited till tomorrow." She goes, she goes, "You're gonna hear my baby cry in a minute." And
oh,
eating dinner, I was like, "Oh my God, well, please go have dinner." And she goes, "Well,
yeah.
Friday, I know it's summer Fridays." And I sort of laughed because
What's that?
summer Fridays is year round for Karen's son. I don't work on Fridays.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just don't. And I don't
Yeah.
tell people. That's the funny thing. Like I'm outing myself to the entire audience. I make a big deal of it. I don't like
Yeah.
announce like I only work Monday through Thursday. I just don't do that. I just don't work on Fridays. If there's something that I want to do on a Friday, I will do it.
Right.
So, but it's not a regular work day for me. So, like holiday weekends, Friday's always my off day, and
Yeah.
I make use of it. I get myself ready personally to have the weekend off. And so when you do things on Friday, you organize, you do laundry, you clean up,
Yeah.
you do your little errands, you do whatever when, it's a really relaxing day for me. And then if I have a work thing that I want to do, like, oh, I really want to do that. And sometimes I do,
Yeah.
like, sometimes I really want to write something or do something. But by the time Saturday rolls around, I'm already relaxed. I'm not spending the day trying to get to that relaxation point. It works for me, and I share that because this is a way that you could not want to quiet quit by
Right.
building in a little more breathing room into your
Yes.
schedule. Um,
Margins.
yes, yes,
Margins are beautiful things. No, I
yeah.
think that's great. And I think so often as solos we can do that to ourselves, right? Of, well, it's a work day, my clients are working, so I should be at the ready. And I think the more time that you get as a solo, the more you can pause and realize they will find you whenever they need you anyway. And
It, oh,
as we've
God,
said so many times, we have
yeah. We need
all the
to do
technology in our hands that we need.
We do. We need to do an entire podcast that really walks step by step on how to
Yeah,
really boss up, and
love it.
not allow other people to control your time.
Right.
And I I know so many people struggle with that concept. They feel this
Oh,
unnecessary obligation to account
yeah,
for their hours with clients. And here's the thing, client relationships are B2B. You're a
yeah,
business, they're a business.
yep,
When you hire a business to do work for you, you may agree on you scope of work, you agree on a price, you agree on the deliverables. And if it's, for example, a contractor that's coming to your house, you have a window of time that you expect them to do the work,
right,
but you're not asking them to give you a breakdown of every single thing that they did, and you're not expecting them to account for the time that they're not doing the work for you. You just want the
right,
work done. You want the deliverable.
right.
Yet somehow can fall into this mindset that we treat clients like they're our boss. And I want to throw that back to all of you as you go into this
Yes,
week to really think about it, or the rest of this week, whenever this airs, to really think about, am I doing that? Am I giving somebody control over my business because
right.
you're the CEO of your business? Do you expect the CEO of your client to treat you like you're their boss.
Right.
And if we want that seat at the table, if we want to be in the room where strategic decisions are being made because we are strategic counselors, how can you do that if you keep treating yourself and telling the world to treat you like you work
Like an
for a fast
employee.
food restaurant where you have to clock in and clock out? No
Right.
shade to fast food restaurant workers, but I'm saying that's not your role. You're not clocking
Right.
in and out. You don't punch a time clock for a client. And yes, even if you bill by the hour, that doesn't mean that the client gets to dictate what those hours are. They do not.
100%.
And newsflash, people, stop feeling like you have to answer emails 2 minutes when they come in. No one does that anymore.
Right. No, no, they don't. No, they
And
don't.
they're not, please don't.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, but the client. And so I think the fear, and this is fear driven. It all comes from the back of our head where we have that little voice saying, if I am not perfect, if I don't do this, they are going to fire me. You're
Mhm.
afraid of losing income, but in your fear, you're also holding yourself back
Yeah.
from really being what you want to be, which is your own business and fully in control of your life and your income. And I bet that a lot of those people that you're allowing to keep you in this trap and that you are allowing yourself to be treated by an employee, you probably have missed your money too.
Yeah.
Because you're not making good decisions with who you take on as a client because you're not thinking of yourself as a business.
Right.
So we're going to do a whole thing on this because I've been seeing this crop up a lot
Yeah.
lately. And
Yeah. And
not to bother you guys, but for those of us who have been in business a lot longer, I'll speak for myself. I just want people to love what they do. And I want them to have a business that not only allows them to love their work, but love their life. And so that's my goal in life. I could care less about awards. I could care less about any of that stuff. I don't care about designations and credentials. If I leave this world and people say, you know what, Kieran's one really helped me to have a great business, then I promise you that I will come back from the grave and give you a big giant hug. Okay,
well,
not
I
really.
can vouch you are well on your way with that. And part of that fear too, and think of it this way. I mean, because you're not accessible 24/7, someone's going to fire you. you. Business relationships can end for any reason at any time, and it's 99% of the time never personal. So, I mean, not to create more fear, but just enjoy your day. Enjoy the work you're doing. Enjoy the way that you do it. And even if, let's say baby step, if you think, "Oh, I have to respond right away." If that itch needs to be scratched, reply and say, "Great, I will let you know within the next day." Whatever you need to do to get yourself
Yeah.
there, because I will tell you, and this has not happened a lot, but I've had it said to me times like, "Oh, you didn't have to get back to me. It's fine. We've got time." And I think we do have the pandemic to thank for that. I think it's taught many of us that nothing was ever as urgent as we think it is. Publications always have extensions for deadlines. There's always wiggle room. And
You know what? You bring up a good point. The nature of our profession is immediacy, right?
yeah,
There are things that I'm immediate about. I'm immediate to responding to things that are immediate. And
right,
journalists responding to me is something that I do take very seriously
right.
because that is a requirement. You
A- And
don't
you and you
even
value that relationship too, and you want to
And you
express
value
that
that
value.
relationship. And even though sometimes it's taken like 6 attempts to get their attention, we still respond quickly to that.
Yeah,
That is and that's okay. Like there are some things that I'm really okay doing, but
right.
we stress ourselves out about things and maybe it's
Yeah.
a certain generation. I am Generation Jones, and so I grew up with a telephone with a wire, and so I think maybe you're wired to like something rings, you answer it. Maybe that's where it came from. The phone
Maybe
rings, you
that's what.
until later years when we got answering machines, which came before voicemail, where people can leave you a message and we were more comfortable not answering right away. But then email came along and it's like this felt like a
Ah,
instant communication.
yeah,
But I've got news for you.
it's
Like
not.
Michelle said, you have a phone, you have your apps on your phone that you need. If something truly is urgent, you
Yeah,
can respond to it.
yeah,
And, you know, I don't know about everybody else, but, I use Slack for clients. We Slack more than we email. We only use email for the stuff that somebody else really sends us. For some clients, use email for anything. Like you drop links to files
yeah,
in email. You just and we Slack. I mean, we
yeah,
don't really use email. But so something from them in email, I could answer it 5 days later because it's really probably just a FYI or something that somebody else sent. It's like, oh, here. And then we're going to talk about it in Slack anyway.
yeah,
So we have Slack. You have your phone with your email app on it, so you can always respond. But
yeah,
if you kind of take yourself out of that, and here's the great reason for doing that. Now you've eliminated this problem of switching, which causes your brain to work harder. It makes you more tired and
yeah,
it makes the workday a lot longer because when you have to switch between tasks all day long, it's exhausting and you don't have time for deep work. So
right.
if you stop, like, don't look at your emails first thing in the morning, do
Mm,
something else first thing in the morning, and your first work task of the day, make it something that even if it's a quick win and it's going to take you 20 minutes, but it's important, get it out of the way. And then
yeah,
you can do a quick like run through of email. Mind you, you don't have to even answer all that stuff. You can just do a quick run through, make sure nothing's popping off. But chances
right.
are, if something was really wrong, the client would reach out in a different
Oh, yeah.
way. You
They'll
know,
text, they'll call, they'll find you.
yeah, text,
Yeah,
phone call, they're going to be like,
yeah,
hey. It's like,
yeah.
oh, okay.
And sometimes, sometimes things will be urgent, and that's okay because
Sometimes
PR
there's a
pro.
fire and you need to
Sometimes
respond.
there is sometimes a literal fire.
Yeah.
But yeah, but PR pros, we're used to that. We're cool. I mean, I had an
Yeah.
event a few weeks ago. I was going to enjoy my Saturday, but the local news wanted some clips. They couldn't make it out. So guess what? I'm going to the show. Got some clips. Got it on TV. It was great. Was it my plan? No, that's
Stressed
okay.
about it because you haven't quiet quit.
I have not quiet quit. Trust. I think if I ever quit, it will be very loud.
Oh, same. Oh, same. All with the tell-all book to go along with it. Same. Yeah.
With the
I'm gonna
press
be all
tour.
over Twitter like, "Karen Swim is really done, and let me tell you, all the stuff that I like, all those subtweets, let me tell you the real story.
Oh
It
my
was even
gosh.
worse."
I can't wait. I can't wait. Well, we're so glad that you have not quit on us. So please don't
Don't
ever quiet quit
quit
us.
us.
Don't loud quit us. Don't ever quit us. But we are so grateful that you spend this time with us every week. And if you find value in what you've just heard, please do share it around. We appreciate you. And if you have any comments or things that you'd like us to cover, please hit us up at soloprpro.com. And until then, thanks for joining us on That's Solo Life.